Good morning, or good afternoon. My name is Gary Beecham. On behalf of the entire team here at Royal 4, I want to thank you for joining our webinar today. Just a couple of quick notes. If you've received the WMS ROI calculator already, which is part of what we give away for all of you who are attending today, but if you have already received it and would need some help with it, we'd love to help you with that as well. But if you haven't received it, you will receive it at the end of this webinar today. Now, I'm very excited to present today the two presenters that we have for you today. One, Sergio Zamora, who is a WMS expert, out of Texas, one of our senior developers and a system administrator, and very super zealous about this particular solution or this industry. We also have Jack Simons, who's your primary presenter. He's an expert in the WMS community for well over 15 years. Also, he's a Six Sigma Green Belt of all things, which is exciting. But Jack has a lot of experience in the space. He's our primary presenter today, and I wanted to present him to your group today. So without further ado, Jack, you ready?
I am ready. Thank you very much, Gary. And I wanted to briefly just mention a couple of things about Royal 4 Systems. As you know, most of you, that we do manufacture the yard management software. However, also we do have WMS software as well, and ERP software as well. So I just wanted to make sure that if there's anything that you don't see in this presentation that you may have a need for, that you do contact us anyway and see if there's something we can do to help you there. We'd be glad to. But as Gary mentioned, I've been in the warehousing and distribution for over 30 years now. I have a passion for yard management, and I believe you'll gain a better understanding of yard management with our webinar today. I want to go through a few areas here to give you a better understanding of what yard management is and whether or not you need a yard management system. So the first section is, what is yard management? The second section is YMS, who needs it? And then if you can identify with that, hang on to us, because we want to look at areas of evaluating a YMS so that you understand the specifics of what you need to be looking for. And then we're going to go through the benefits of a YMS. And as Gary mentioned, we also have the ROI calculator that we'll be sending you at the end of this webinar as well. So when we first look at what is yard management, yard management system is a software that manages and tracks traffic coming into and within a site, such as a distribution center, factory facility, any container terminals, things like that. See, it's specifically designed to manage all of the scheduling of the inbound and outbound loads, to optimize all the labor requirements, to track private and third-party trucking units while they're on your site. In a nutshell, a YMS allows you to look right through the walls of your facility to extend that visibility out into the yard. So when we look at who needs a YMS, is that something that you're requiring right now? Well, here are 8 signs that will tell you whether or not you could look at getting a YMS. You see, the cost of the YMS has dramatically reduced over the past recent years. However, that alone doesn't justify whether or not you need a YMS. I often get asked that, am I big enough? How many dock doors does it really require to actually justify a YMS? And the true answer to that is size doesn't matter. So you can have a warehouse in New York City with only 2 dock doors and have 30 to 40 pickups and deliveries throughout the day. So that would be a good opportunity for a YMS. Why? Because they have the volume that's required. They cannot allow trucks to be sitting out there waiting. So they need some help, and they need something to help them schedule. So we're going to start with the number one reason. It feels like you need another yard driver. So if your yard drivers are spending valuable time hunting for misplaced trailers, moving the same trailers multiple times, or the operation continually is waiting for yard drivers to either remove or to bring trailers, so you probably have a good case for implementing a YMS. Number 2, manual yard checks are becoming more frequent. If the staff is out in the yard doing inventorying of trailers several times a day, they're wasting valuable time and collecting information that immediately is out of date. So I once had a customer, I went on site with him to do a demo, and he told me about all these trailers that he had in his yard that were being dropped. And he said, man, it is such a headache. He said, on Fridays, he said it requires at least 2 guys spending 4 hours inventorying all of these trailers in the yard. Using a YMS, they were able to reduce that down to 30 minutes. He says that the benefit alone, that particular benefit alone, pays for the whole application. Number 3, yard operations are not optimized. The lack of planning means that there's activities that are being haphazard. No one's taking responsibility. There's a general lack of visibilities into the activities and the trailer locations. You will certainly need a YMS if your operation is not optimized. Number 4, the gate is a choke point. See, the manual in and out processes, they slow things down, and they cause lineups at the gate. These delays then encourage drivers just to drop their trailers at the first available spot instead of where they're supposed to be dropping them or where they've been instructed to drop them. So they're now going to cause more mishap. Why? Because now they're just dropping anywhere they want. And the gate choke point requires a lot of time and energy, not only on the drivers, but also the internal people. Number 5, carriers want to drop trailers so their drivers don't leave, or so their drivers can leave. You know, the drivers are pulling up, and the carriers are going, you just drop it anywhere that you can. So they're encouraging their drivers to drop it for you. See, enabling the driver to spend less time at your DC delivering, this means that he can be more productive for his employer, which is great for his employer and the carrier, but he also makes more money for himself. So there's an incentive here to make sure that they drop their trailers and they can leave quickly. So we then need to control that. And if we're not controlling that, there's going to be trailers dropped all around. Number 6, trailer demurrage fees, they're high and climbing. Hey, if you cannot process the third-party trailers quickly enough with that drop and hook program that you have, you'll end up paying charges for containers that are dwelling on your site. Demurrage fees can add up very quickly. I had a customer who was telling me they were being charged over $1,000 a month just in demurrage fees. By implementing a YMS, they now rarely ever pay for any demurrage fees. Number 7, the dock staff are frequently waiting for trailers. If the docks are sitting idle waiting for trailers, you're wasting valuable human time and infrastructure resources, not to mention potentially delaying important outbound shipments that your customer is waiting for. Number 8, the costs are out of hand. The lack of coordination combined with the excessive trailer moves, demurrage charges, wasted labor, these are all increasing yard activity costs. So if your costs are out of hand and you're going, well, there should be a way to be able to control this, but we just don't know what to do, we just keep throwing money at it, then you probably are a customer that needs to look at a YMS. Those are 8 areas that you may want to look for in a YMS. And so if you've identified with any of those, what the next step you need to take is, of course, evaluating the YMS. So now we're going to look at 8 areas that you should be looking at, and any YMS should be able to do. Number 1, deliver real-time visibility into everything going on in the yard. So that includes trucks, trailers, their contents, the yard trucks, their drivers, instantly knowing where each of your assets are at a click. Real-time visibility. Number two, must. Optimize tasks for yard drivers. Managing the yard drivers is the most costly part of your operation, and it's key to delivering services for your organization. With a YMS, these dedicated drivers are equipped with a mobile device that transmits their next instructions and creates maximum efficiency. Number three, dock door scheduling. Now, when I say dock door scheduling, we're talking about actually scheduling each and every dock door you have within your organization. In order to get the best out of all of your assets, including the docks, and to maximize the operation throughput, scheduling the docks should be a key part of any system you look at. And I'm talking about both inbound and outbound loads. They both can be managed this way. Number four, enable integration. In order to maximize the value of your YMS, it needs to be able to communicate with other systems, like maybe your WMS or your TMS, and it should be done preferably through a standardized mode such as web services, something that's easy to work with. This is a critical area, integrating so that you're not having double entry and everybody gets on the same page. Number five, be dynamic. The YMS should be able to adjust priorities on a continuous basis. See, it should be able to respond to peaks and valleys in the shipping and receiving volumes, and it needs to be able to forecast vehicle and space availability. It needs to be able to respond to those fluctuating times and volumes throughout any given day. Number six, manage the gatehouse. Something we mentioned earlier. The YMS should be able to streamline the amount of time and effort it takes to check trucks and trailers in and out. The gate is the first point of contact. So it's very important for the staff there to be able to quickly and easily identify each specific vehicle, why it's there, and where it needs to go. There should be no bottlenecks at your gate if you're managing your gate correctly. Number seven, communication. The system needs to perform like a control tower, to wirelessly communicating instructions and critical information to all the yard drivers, to the carriers, to the delivery drivers, and also to all your internal personnel. Everybody should be on the same page, and everybody should have that communication coming back and forth. And number eight, provides data. The YMS should be able to provide feedback on key indicators and metrics to allow management to gain insight